game.
Thank you very much, Freak. And while we've come to our final LCS game with XDG facing off against Coast, it's probably going to be a good one just as the rest.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of excitement after XDG's debut game because Smithy and Zuna both played well in their new roles.
Yep.
But they did cool off in their next games, which is not surprising because it takes a while to really get into a new role and adapt to the small changes that you have to play the role for a while before they're actually second nature to you.
All right, absolutely. But Coast fought back from a rough early game to win against Evil Geniuses. Wiz Fusion had 3 deaths within the first few minutes. Yeah, first one each minute. We saw that. I think he was pulling his hair out.
That was painful to watch. The first blood and then the return to lane. First blood times 2.
Oh.
But you're right. They were able to come back. Zion, Spartan, and Shifter really helped carry that team. The solo lanes were doing a great job. They were split pushing, grabbing kills. Amazing score there from Shifter as well.
You saw LeBlanc right on him there in the lower third. We'll think that'd be banned out this game. Let's check out the starting lineups here. On the blue side, it is XDG. In the top lane is Benny, Zuna in the jungle, Man Cloud in mid, Xmithy now at AD carry, and Bloodwater on support.
And on the red side, it's Team Coast. Zion Spartan's up top. In the jungle, it's Nintendude, and Shifter is mid. Wiz Fusion is the AD carries, and supporting is Daydreamin'.
I wonder how much crap they're going to give him, just kind of jokingly, like, don't walk by that brush when you go to lane.
Oh, he's going to be
Don't do
scared
this.
of that bush
Be like,
for
hey,
a
Wiz, they have a
while.
thresh. You might want to watch out.
He's laughing right now. He can hear you. Yes, they're making fun of me.
It's always good to have that camaraderie. That you can. It's kind of like Double Lift and Afro, where they're like, we don't yell at each other, ever.
Never. Because love is in the air when they're
Because love
playing.
is absolutely in the air. So we're figuring that LeBlanc's going to be banned out for Shifter here. He is a little too good at roaming. He figures out when to do it perfectly. He does it with the waves, and he kind of keeps track of more than just his own lane when he does it.
Shifter is a really strong individual player. He
Yeah.
was second on the challenger ladder. He's extremely high. He has a whole bunch of
Yep.
ults up there as well. He plays a lot of different champions in the mid lane.
We haven't seen him get Ziggs back yet.
He can roam with, yeah, exactly. He can roam with any of the popular assassins. LeBlanc right now, though, does seem to be a huge threat for a lot of these teams. Since they banned out Riven, he might not be going for that LeBlanc because we've already seen how well it can do against that champion.
Right. It's going to take it out and help force that ban as well. Still looking to see Elise be left out. Nintendude like to use that, but maybe they'll force Zuna onto it. It wasn't his mechanically best game, and he went 6-0-15 on Olaf and then had that Elise game, and it's kind of flip-flop.
Nintendo's been having a little bit of a rough time. Zuna's also lately in the last couple games having a bit of a rough time. So I think that the junglers in this game are actually going to determine a lot. Whichever one is able to turn their LCS debut around, or their LCS their first week around, because if they can get one of the lanes ahead, then that would be huge, especially if it's a solo lane for Coast. We already talked about how the solo lanes really can snowball the rest of the map.
That Renekton being taken out, Zuna does decide to grab the Elise. Zion Spartan had quite the Nasus game recently. He was 3v1ing at one point in that top lane. We'll see if they put that in priority, but it looks like it's Daydreamin' grabbing up that Thresh to keep the nightmares away from Wiz.
Yeah, so last time it was Nasus into the Mundo because Mundo early aggression isn't quite there and can't really bully Nasus and stop him from farming up that Q. Shyvana can do a lot better
A little more rush
against him early, so I probably won't see that pick again from Zion unless he's extremely confident in that early game play.
What will be the focus next? See the Shyvana and Thresh is all the XDG has to look at right now. With the Elise pick, they feel comfortable that Zuna will be able to add a little early game pressure. So it's all about having lanes that, you know, will be able to win if he's not able to make it. And TSM really capitalized on that last game. It was pretty big.
All right, so they pick Leona into the Thresh. A lot of people, especially Crepo, has been pretty outspoken. He likes the Thresh counter to Leona. He thinks it's, you know, at least a soft counter because of the fact that you can flare out, over initiates. But a lot of people, regardless of the Thresh pick, have been going Leona into it anyway because it's not a hard counter and like you really have to time that play well. Plus, there's still more options for her. Solar Flare, you can land that from a long distance and then combo starting with that, or you can just get in there for the flash stun to initiate. And it's really a toss-up here in the bottom lane.
I would love to see an MF, just to see it.
Yeah.
It's fun to play. Cop used to play it all the time, but everybody knows that. Yasuo was left open, and he's been quite scarce today.
So the only displacement that they have
At
right
least in the
now
game.
is
Yeah.
the Shyvana. So I'm expecting another champion to combo with that Yasuo. I mean, Vi would be an amazing pickup. I don't know if they were 100% going to go for this Yasuo pick. I don't really see the reason why they didn't pick up Vi here. I mean, the jungler for XDG is already picked, but
Maybe
so
they're
is
down
the,
with running the Trundle
so is the
too.
AD carry. So I guess with both of those positions already being picked, they're not worried about it. There's still like a small chance that you can send your Elise into a solo lane though, and still take away that Vi to jungle with. Don't know if that would be
It's been
throwing
quite
you
a
off
while
way
since
too
we've
much
seen the
just
lane
to take
lease.
that away from the combo.
ManCloud did quite love that Xerath, but Xmithy loves it too. So we'll see if they swap. That would be great. Please do it. But I don't think they're gonna. We are gonna see the Kale coming out here, and that is not gonna be fun for Shifter if that's his Yasuo.
Coast are thinking the exact same thing that I was thinking. They're thinking they're probably going to lock in a Vi to combo with this Yasuo because they need more knockups and stuff. What's great against Vi? I'm going to get the Kale. It's kind of counterpicking the Vi even before it's picked. Turns out Coast are saying, no, we don't need any more knockups. We don't need any more displacements. Yasuo can do it for himself, or Shyvana might be able to grab somebody. That's plenty.
Saw a little bit of Inox Yasuo. Now Zion Spartan maybe the one to take him into top lane. Shifter, he's our roamer. I believe he's going to stay on Italy for this one.
Probably will stick as is. I mean, a jungle Shyvana is a bit different here. So they won't have that early bullying on Mundo. It's going to be up to Zion on his Yasuo that Darius just said he's lost to over and over and over again in scrims. So if Yasuo even is able to get like one crit early on Mundo, he's going to be able to shove him out of lane, I think. Usually Mundo has to play really defensively at the beginning anyway, and Yasuo, fairly aggressive champion. So what he's going to have to worry about is getting ganked.
We'll have to see what they have. Let's quickly check in with who you think is going to win, because we care, and you guys voted, so we're going to check it out. In the last NALCS victory of Week 1, it's 73% to XDG as you voted on LOLesports.com.
Not a lot of believers in Coast right now. I actually do have a lot of confidence in that Zion Spartan top lane Yasuo if he doesn't give up a kill in the first 7 minutes to the jungle gank.
With the way that XDG picked and bringing in the Kale last instead of something else, they have quite an AP-heavy team. Lucian's really the only one to be bringing the AD there, and hopefully it's going to be enough.
I mean, it's plenty of an AD threat right there, just having Lucian, because his combos are so potent in the late game when he does even get Trinity Force on top of that. It's a lot of good burst from AD, but we've talked about how ridiculous Kill gets in the late game when she adds that extra AP skilling of a Lich Bane. So the late game here looks really good for XDG, and we'll have to see if Coast can actually get rolling a bit earlier. They do have the poking of Nidalee to fall back on, though.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, to round out our first Super Week here, before we start the NA Challenger Series, it is going to be XDG versus Coast. They are under the Rift, facing off against each other. You just saw on the big screen here. If you're live with us in the studio, you guys are awesome. See what happens here as they all head towards the top side. This is different. They're not lining up, but watch, I say that, and they're all just going to spread out.
So there's a couple things here. Deep utility for XCG. They're ahead in gold right now. Bloodwater probably getting that extra mastery. He also has started with the Targon's plus ward with his extra gold. So a deep invade, they could actually place their long ward inside this red jungle and get the classic... Uh-oh. Can we get that fog ward? Yeah. It'll tip him off a little bit. But there was a lot they put into getting that ward. I mean, he went full deep utility and just got the one ward plus his Targon. We'll have to see if they can actually make something happen. That it might be like a late invade on the top side because they're switching. It would be successful because Coast are not switching either.
I like Zion Spartan's play, not the bush. He's given himself a bit of viewing area. That cleaver would have hit him.
This is the same bush, just the opposite side of the map.
That's so true. They don't have Thresh, so it's not going to work as well. We'll see Coast heading down towards the bottom lane, and they're trying to produce just about the same thing. It's only ManCloud and Shifter that aren't participating in these invades, but it doesn't look like anyone's going to find each other anyway.
I think Wiz is like, oh, you know, the Thresh late invades there really got me last time. Let's go ahead and pull that move off. I like that move.
So from not seeing, or I'd say hardly seeing any invades coming in through this weekend, we have both teams just instantly in each other's jungle here having a party. Going to be the simple steal Kobe, and they'll be back to it.
Yeah, that's actually going to be, you know, pretty good for Zuna. As the newer jungler, usually it's a little bit harder for him to deal with early invades. But since he was guaranteed starting at least his blue buff, he should be okay there on the Elise. The red taken without him, so that means that Smithy is going to have a whole bunch of bully potential up in this top lane.
And I believe Benny also has a red right now as he teleports down to that bottom lane. They fed him that in the top lane.
Yeah, they gave it to Smithy there. The Lucian's wearing it.
Oh,
or he was wearing it.
Very good. Did not see that on the screen. I was looking down at the mini-map. So that's going to be quite big and makes that solo lane even harder. You see Zion Spartan not even heading to the lane.
Yeah,
gonna hang out.
Yasuo, actually, some people do jungle him. He's got the potential for jungling power. He can actually clear out camps that are spread out like the Rays pretty easily because he can dash to each one of them.
Well, 3 in the bottom lane. Deja vu here as they're going to try to pressure down on this turret very hard, and it will be answered. It's not going to be Zuna trying to come down and 2v1 this lane. Nobody's really giving it any attention, so back and forth. Mirror those turrets.
And that extra red buff there on Smithy, hasn't been able to shoot any champions yet. It hasn't really benefited them at all. Even though it was a good steal away, they don't get any extra damage out of it. And meanwhile, down bottom here, Jinx is a great even early tower pusher because she can get attack speed from that minigun.
It's always nice having a free steroid that just comes up on you for auto-attacking. So the gold lead will be evened out with the taking of the other turret. You see Trinkets on cooldown somewhat because this is going to cause them to start pressuring in. We kind of talked about this before. Hopefully don't go beyond their means. They're trying to grab this quick gold and pressure the rest of the map.
It's interesting that XDG keep going for this too. When you do the 2vs1 swap, you make it so the early lane phase, you don't have to play that out with your AD carry, and it changes the jungle a lot too. So both these guys that just switched roles don't really have to do a long laning phase in their new role.
Are you mad lifing Daydream? He's trying.
And they switch it up. We've seen a lot of people actually fail at this. What you're supposed to do is as soon as the dragon turns its head to attack a different target, whoa, ManCloud.
Then you go for ManCloud. That's what you do. You're supposed to go for the Kale in the middle. The spears are missing. They get the ignites down, and they get out with this. But this is giving XDG a little positioning here on the dragon. Yasuo is still top lane. Let's see if they go for it.
That was almost a first blood for ManCloud right there. Shifter flashes in to heal Daydreamin' and save his life.
All right, looks like they're a little, not confused, but miscommunicating on this.
Real dangerous.
Very dangerous. Oh, a nice job. They go for the flash in. He does get the Zenith Blade. They're going very hard on this. The Ignite is down. Nintendude is taking away. The Ignite stops, though. Not enough damage, and everybody is limping away from this fight.
Zion again, or Shifter again with the heals here. Running out of mana on Nidalee just because he keeps saving teammates.
Good fight. A little bit of 1v1 in the top lane as Xmithy and Spartan go toe-to-toe. He wants to get back into that. He uses the dash. I don't think Xmithy's going to have too much on this. A great weight on the barrier. It just sits there, and Zion Spartan, gets in range with the flash, and he picks himself up first blood after all that fighting.
Expertly played by Zion.
Yeah.
He's able to chase Smithy knowing there's a minion wave coming right down the lane. That enables Yasuo to chase because he has unlimited dashes. He can chain them through the minion wave that's coming, which also ups the damage on his dash. And like you said, waiting out the barrier, just pretty much all around. Beautiful play there from Zion.
We have even gold around the map. A little bit of a lead from that kill escalating it, but right now these guys are completely neck and neck. We do see Shifter has been focusing all the fights around him. We had a few clutch heal saves from him, so we'll see if more big things come from those Nidalee spears.
Yeah, looking at the
just CS.
Yeah, looking at the end game, the Nidalee spears will be a good factor for them. They can always fall back on the poke game.
Yeah.
But I'm liking just the Yasuo Shyvana combo more and more now because the range on a Yasuo ult is 1,300.
Right.
So even if Shyvana goes for a very, very long range engage, as long as she displaces somebody on the back line,
you're good to
he'll
go.
be able to teleport over there and get inside with his ultimate.
Activating his E, trying to get a bit of splash damage onto Shifter, waste out that mana on the heals. Ward's going out, so it looks like Shifter keeps himself safe, depends on staying in this lane, or plans on, I should say, staying in this lane for a little bit longer. And we look down at the bottom lane now. Smithy and Bloodwater seem to have good pressure on this turret, but it doesn't look like Wiz Fusion and Daydream are in any trouble right now.
Excuse me there, sorry.
Excuse.
There was so much early action around the bottom there of that dragon. Here comes in another dragon down bottom.
That level 6 to level 4, that's not what you want in the top lane. And here we have 3 members surrounding Bloodwater. He's going to go ahead and walk the other way and save his AD carry.
So the Lantern gank right there, that was Daydream throwing it back for Nintendo, able to get in range, and probably had to at least land one of those skill shot CCs to get that one.
Absolutely, whether
successful.
it was the chompers or the hook, they got him in there and they got him good. So we do see a little bit of assistage, if you will, going to Nintendo. Daydream and picking those up. Wiz Fusion now with a kill in his favor. So he's feeling a little bit better this game, and it seems that last game really didn't affect him. He's got a clean mind on it.
Yeah, he's kept his head in the game.
Yeah.
He's got a nice CS lead.
Yeah,
and
he does actually.
That versus a Lucian here, as Jinx is going to be extremely confident. The turret being down means they can extend their ward coverage into this bottom side of the map and further cement their control around Dragon. So this slight gold lead that they have very early, they can turn that into the Dragon objective, because Nintendo on Shyvana, very adept at tanking that thing up even early in the game.
Look at Shyvana. Nintendo will be going back possibly to finish that golem or just pick up a little bit of health in that Ruby. He gets actually the Kindle, so he'll be have that cooldown for himself as well. Not too much action coming from the junglers after they got that first kill. Everybody's kind of waiting for ults and flashes to come back up. We'll see after they give this to Shifter if the roam begins.
So a Nidalee mid lane, when you see that as a jungler, you're not usually looking at that lane for potential ganks because she doesn't have CC to set you up. But what it does bring is a lot of sustain and constant threat from the mid lane. Like Shifter, it'll be very hard to push him out of this lane, especially since he's got his blue buff now. He can continually heal and throw out the spears. If he lands multiple spears in a row, then it gives them that control that they're looking for around the dragon area.
Shifter just playing it safe. Oh, the mentality of that game right now. He knows he doesn't want to pressure it, but the rest of the team trying to get in there to help Shifter and then get that kill. Like you were saying, it's not just going to be him.
And the good job here by Coast setting up the ward coverage. They do have the pink wards inside and out of the dragon pit, and they're having Nintendo come down, level 6 Shyvana, tanking up the dragon like we expected. Now they just have to pull off the smite because XDG are closing in.
Very nice lockup on that. Could not give Zuna the repel. Beautifully played by Daydream, and so they pick up the dragon coming in. We're going to see that around 15 to 16 minutes. Coast has that timer, but so does XDG, so guarantee yourself a fight.
Yeah, that's another thing that you're definitely going to hesitate on as a fresh jungler. Going for those dragon steals over the wall, it's a bit risky, and you need some practice. Look at this down on the bottom. Oh, okay, never mind. He just recalled. Was back and playing it safe.
Never mind. It's okay. BF Sword coming out on the side of Wiz Fusion. Like we said, he's having a lot better game, and he's going to try to put the team on his back. The kills have been slow, but both of them on the map right now that we saw have been in favor of Coast, so they are definitely gaining the momentum they need. It's only a 600 gold lead, and XDG is doing a good job in the laning phase of keeping that in their favor. 103 to 65 in the mid lane in CS.
Yeah, Coast getting that dragon really helped them out a lot, too. A big point now that's a power spike for Yasuo is getting that static shiv. Before he has that, it's just relying on his skills. We saw it in lane to outplay opponents 1v1. But man, once he gets the shiv, it really increases the power because that thing will crit, and he has double crit from his passive. Even though the damage on the crits is reduced a little bit, just that one item is a huge power spike for him, and he's already looking to make plays elsewhere on the map.
And usually you see a static shift go to somebody who wants to push, but he kind of wants to be with the team for that fight initiation, yeah?
He's looking to back up this Thresh here. Being pulled into the fight with a Thresh Lantern would be a terrible surprise for any XDG member, even a Mundo.
I like the switch Nintendo to the top lane as Zion Spartan now trying to make use, like he said, of that static shift he just built up, trying to get that quick burst in power per where they are at in the game. Looks like Benny's going to be the first to feel this one, but he sees Zuna on the backside. A great Lantern out, foreseeing that could have gone bad.
Yeah, it was going to be a nice collapse here by XDG, trying to corner them inside the jungle, but the ward coverage very deep for Coast, and they do not overextend, able to get right back out.
Lots of bushwhacks in the mid lane for Shifter. It's like Bloodwater's going to make himself present, eat a spear. Nice hands, nice hands. And just pushing him off. This is going to give ManCloud time to stay in that top lane, but we said Nintendo, he is pushing it back, and right now it is control for XDG, so maybe they can focus mid now.
Biggest point of control for XDG is going to be wherever ManCloud is, because ManCloud is crushing it right now. Hard farming very well, and he's going to get that point. He finishes his Nasher's Tooth next. It will be good sustained damage. And once he gets the second item, that's where the burst really comes from.
And we got to say that CS lead is completely keeping Shifter from roaming. He can't fall behind anymore because the lanes aren't going to bring him kills. It's just not in that position. See, at 13 minutes in the game, 700 gold is still the lead for Coast. And they're not really letting that go. ManCloud eats a full range spear coming off of that little fog of war position from Shifter, and he... Okay, doubling up on that one, gives it to Zuna as well. I don't think they want any more of that. And they were in mid for about 2.5 minutes just now, and they said, let's stop.
Yeah, Zuna does not want that. He wants no part of that. He's put money into consumables. A couple more wards here, both pink and green wards bought up by this jungler. So he's going to be even more squishy than usual. And at least in human form, is already a very, very juicy target.
A little speed up on his heel. ManCloud is not going to pursue that just yet. He wants to see if Zion Spartan's going to stay anywhere close, because it looks like ManCloud's pretty confident about taking him down.
Yeah, and he could have caught up because there's no boots here on Zion Spartan, since he did rush into that static shift to try and get that power boost. However, Mandatory Cloud does not have the ward coverage to chase something like that, and he doesn't want to have his pursuit turned around on him. So,
being up in gold, why is it still that XDG is consistently pushing back Coast right now?
They don't have the greatest of siege potentials right now, because Coast have a pretty good answer. And they have so much ward coverage, it's hard to make those rotations to catch Coast out of position. You can see how Mandatory Cloud is roaming and trying to make use of his large CS numbers that he's been able to accumulate, but Coast have done a very good job keeping up with the movements around the map, and they haven't been able to grab anything for themselves of note.
So they do put Zion Spartan. Even a teacher doesn't call him that. He has Zion Spartan in the top lane, and it looks like going back down to bottom to focus this. They know the minute is there for Dragon, so they're going to leave him up top and hopefully either trade one of these. No, Zion's going to back, so it looks like he will be there for the team.
All right, so blue buff on Italy. It's always a good thing. We talked about how much the control of blue buff was going to be pretty big in this game. Both of the mid laners grabbing theirs means that every spear that lands, ManCloud will be hard pressed to heal up.
Spider.
Yeah, Spider. He's not going to have to heal the little Spider. He'll give Zuna a heal, though. It's only about a third of the damage that the spears deal, though. The pink ward fight!
Bloodwater not taking too much damage there, and he doesn't have really any magic resistance under his belt just yet. This is, like I said, coming up on that 16.
So the one advantage that XDG do have is that their top laner's got teleport. So they've sent the Mundo here, Benny, up to the top lane. Wow, hard engage too early.
Oh, the intervention for ManCloud. Smithy would have loved that right there, but they were just forced into that situation. Rocket passing by the tail end of the entire team, and it looks like the teleport's coming in. Benny has the ultimate on, but he turns around immediately. Nintendo's going to spit out some flame, but it's not going to be enough. The team does not have the crowd control to follow.
I think that was the first time of the Shyvana ulti into the Yasuo ulti, and we didn't get to see it on screen. Pretty sure that was just Nintendo getting his Dragon's Descent displacement onto Smithy, which is the target they automatically want to go for, and then Zion not hesitating to follow it up. Yasuo ultimates, and he takes out the AD carry here for XDG, which awards them control over this dragon that they had pre-warded.
They have mid to worry about. Top is going to be very big for XDG in just a couple of seconds here. And we'll see what Coast can do to mitigate any of this coming out. We'll see the buys just in the realm of HP really for the tanks. That's going on to Nintendo. We said that they are going up against a heavy AP team, so we'll see how they factor that in here coming up on 20 minutes.
Yeah, we don't see the beginnings of the magic resist aura anywhere.
No. And Zion Spartan and Shifter are both super squishy in these fights, so it's not helping them that they have to group for some of these engagements.
I mean, Coast usually go with more offensive builds rather than building a lot of defense. They're not real big believers in tanks, but Nintendo's doing his best here. He is a jungler, so it's going to be a little bit slower to build up those heavy tank
farming
items.
his butt off, though. Zuna's at 58, 77, so that's good.
He's putting his money into direct health, which is a good idea on Shyvana, and she does get a lot of resistances from her kit.
Can survive that first Q of Kale, but that second swing, sorry. 18 minutes is what it takes Zion Spartan to walk away from the turret. That's going to go down from the minions, but they will be able to grab that gold finally sitting in the top lane. Opens up a little bit more of the invade for them. Hopefully they can use it. They haven't been warding too much into XDG's jungle. It's all about getting their side back.
Zuna walking real close to those skill shots getting picked up. But since his team has the numbers in the area, it would have just been harassed. Coast not going to commit on something like that. It is a little bit of a window into the future, though. That's what this Coast team will be looking for down the road when they want these team fights and they siege up around a turret. They'll rely on that shifter poke, and then if a death sentence lands or one of those zaps lands, then you can combo it with the other one, and that will be the cue for Nintendo to try and get his displacement into the back line. And, you know, we already saw, or almost saw, Zion Spartan combo it.
See Benny coming down to help out with blue here. This is going to be contested out. Shifter trying to keep everybody from mid here, and they do have a nice separation on XDG, but they don't exactly have the room to get into the fight if that connected. Great jab, great javelin onto Zuna, though, so they can grab ground here in the jungle.
Zuna's having to chug a lot of potions here every time one of those spears does hit. However, the blue buff was acquired, so they were successfully able to defend that blue buff and get it onto ManCloud. So the heals will continue to come out. There's the flash.
As soon as Coast gets into the position to siege a turret, XDG says we aren't having any of it. They get a quick kill going on to Daydream, and Bloodwater will follow after in the 1-for-1 there. Both teams kind of turning around on this. Benny and Yasuo, Zion Spartan and Benny coming into the fight. There's Zion Spartan's full damage build. Tries to get out the damage for himself, goes down. That shutdown going over to Zuna, and it looks like they're following as much as possible to harass down Coast.
That has to be miscommunication there. Zion diving into the Kale, who has her invulnerability still. There's got to be some miscommunication there. You need to tip off your team members. If you see Zion looking for that dive to finish off a low health member, somebody's got to yell at him that Kale's got her ulti still.
As soon as they went to start sieging that turret, all in.
Okay, so that was a great initiate, and it's going to end up trading supports because when Leona engages, she's an all-in engage. But like we said, ManCloud still has his ulti left, so as Zion comes in, he's ready to use it. Maybe there's the off chance that Zion was hoping he could just surprise ManCloud, and ManCloud would not be able to react in time, but usually they don't count on those things, and I think that might just have been a little bit of lack of communication.
Yeah. They had the wards in the top side of the jungle. Just a little too much tunneling as they got into the fight. We'll see if they can shake that off and bring it back to where they were. They still got damage onto that mid turret throughout the fight. See what they can do as they continue on to the mid lane. It seems like they are trying to group up, use Nidalee a little bit more, because Shifter, as we said, he was kind of put down there by ManCloud in mid throughout this game. It was not his LeBlanc game.
There was a lot of weird business going on with those early dragon fights, and Shifter kept having to use a lot of his resources to save team members. A lot of mana and his flash were dumped into saving both Daydream and Nintendo in a couple of different picks. So he did have other things on his mind, but ManCloud
too much on your plate.
ManCloud's going to be a huge threat in late game because of that.
The kills so far for XDG are spread out across Zuna, and that's painful, and Bloodwater. Assists, though, there's still 2 assists on ManCloud. On Xsmithy, they're getting the items that they require as the Triforce starts to come out in the hands of Xsmithy. Look on the other side, and that Bloodthirster's actually been finished for quite some time for Wiz Fusion, and it's only been stacked. He hasn't died yet.
So Dragon coming up in 45 seconds. Means that both teams are trying to get vision around it now.
1, 2, 3, a 1-2 punch. There's the Dragon's Descent out. Was looking for that from Nintendo. So a little bit of ground being grabbed here by XDG. But again, Zion Spartan in the top lane trying to go toe-to-toe. Get a little too close there for his own good. And it looks like Benny is really going to be able to put down that AoE damage with Burning Agony. They both back off.
So he did use his ulti early there so that he could get the armor penetration to have favorable trades, auto attack trades after that.
Nice.
Nice fadeaway wall.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Draws some O's from the crowd, but he's still on the run.
Oh, this one's going to be good for Zuna. He is trying to get in there. The percent doing a good amount of damage. He gets popped up. It's a 2v1 situation. He's trying to buy time. He flashes out of this one, though. His team is going to be going for Dragon, so however long he can stay alive, this is great for the team.
Can he get to it? Oh, he can't touch it.
He got it, but it was going to be the red buff tick coming from Zuna. That's worth.
So he uses his flash to buy the extra time there, and the team does get Dragon. So the only question now is, can XDG capitalize on the power play afforded to them by this 5 versus 4 situation? Since they didn't have any minion waves pushed up, it'll be really difficult for them to actually get anything back, and you're right, it seems to be worth here for Coast.
Zion Spartan very close to an Infinity Edge, and that will surprise people on XDG, just like ManCloud is going to be doing to the members of Coast. A surprise right here. He could get a 3v1 that he's not looking for. A great grab by Daydreamin' as he tries to get himself out. Intervention's going to be down for a bit, and this may be Coast's chance to get back on that siege train.
Wiz Fusion, if he was half a step closer when they found that pick,
right,
could have comboed those flame choppers. They were so close to arming and catching ManCloud there. It's interesting how, you know, there's no real solid game plan from either of these guys towards the mid. I mean, they're going to want to concentrate on the blue buff so that Coast can fall back on their poke game, but the hard engage is there for XCG. So poking against a Leona, very dangerous.
Whoa, Bloodwater getting the flash and then the solar flare. Whoa, Benny is going to teleport into this one. He tries to get right in the middle of the fight. You can see the ward he teleported to almost going down, so it's been planned for a little bit that they were going to try this initiation. Just not all there in time.
Daydreamin' spaces himself very well to put the box right on where the teleport is coming in. And Zion Spartan takes the opportunity to steal away blue buff. So that's a huge cooldown, not going to be available for XDG. Wow, he tried to give it away. That's bold. It was successful, though. So that's another point. Cooldown reduction is very, very ineffective on Yasuo because his Q scales with attack speed instead of cooldown reduction, and then his dash is already unlimited. So that's 2 spells right there that aren't going to benefit from it. And you don't really want to take that blue buff. If he had gotten it, then it would have been just stealing it away from ManCloud, which is great, but so much better to put that on Shifter.
That wave clear. Zion Spartan still doing a good job of being a nuisance in the top lane, always giving XDG something to think about, and Wiz Fusion here still guarding his bottom turret. The mid turret is still alive. Looking at XDG's side, and it seems like that's kind of put Coast on halt right now.
I mean, they've been building towards the exit strategy, which is this Talisman of Ascension on Daydreamin'. Now they actually have some movement speed to try and get away from this Bloodwater initiation. I talked about how dangerous it is to poke against a Leona. It's going to be something that they really need, that Talisman of Ascension, but it's very hard to rely on even just that movement speed because there are boosts on the other team as well. ManCloud can speed up individual players, and it's still a very tricky situation. They don't seem to be confident enough to stack up in front of a turret and play that game.
Talking about that attack speed, you look at Wiz Fusion, he has that passive attack speed we talked about earlier, and he's been able to kind of prioritize Mercury treads over really going anything else to keep himself safe. We did say that XDG has quite a bit of AP on the team.
They've got quite a bit of AP, and they've got a Mundo who's getting extremely beefy and itemizing to deal with this Zion split push.
Yeah.
Zion got ahead pretty early on that Yasuo, and he's a very dangerous character, so it's what they've been using to split push because he can handle pretty much everybody 1 versus 1. Mundo here, Benny's been itemizing to try and deal with this, but he's still having a very tough time because Static Shiv does do magic damage, and after Zion uses his ultimate, he gets 50% armor penetration. So even all that armor doesn't help that much.
On to Nintendo. Dragon's Descent's going to have to come out, but he decides to go in and then back out of the fight. Huge damage from Wiz Fusion on the side. Xmithy from the shadows throws out the culling, and it's going to bring them very low. Shifter saving people all day with those heals.
Another heal from Shifter. Oh, there goes the ulti.
Oh, Zion Spartan's going hard onto Benny, and it's going to be the turret probably following after. Zuna, you better be careful in this one. If he gets out of that cocoon, it's going to be bad news. Zuna taking a bit of damage there. The execute's down, and he does easily take down Zuna.
Yeah, so Zion can take anybody 1 versus 1, and he can also take multiple challengers here. Cloud does get slow.
Oh, it catches it. Sometimes you got to fold your wings in when you're escaping.
Yeah, hit him in the back right there. I don't think he thought that was going to land. But
I didn't think it was going to land.
The zap slowed him just enough that Shifter was able to get the Deadeye right there. So this is what I was talking about before. It's hard to itemize against Zion. Even though Benny's stacking armor, all this magic damage from the crit of the Static Shiv and the armor penetration from his ultimate, he can just cut right through him.
Eating that right up, and we're going to see them pressuring down the mid lane here. Getting that finally. This is going to help them to siege. Oh, yeah, this is me, Joe Miller.
The tip of his wing. Yeah. Wow, that's the first week of the LCS, both you guys.
28 minutes on this. Dragons are 3, Barons are 1 now for Coast. That's huge for them. This just means that they can sit back and let Shifter do what he needs to do, and Zion Spartan split push continuously.
Well, Zion finally has just definitively shown he can handle anybody that they send at him. So the split push strategy is what they're going to go with. It's classic Coast. I mean, they pretty much, that was their beginning strategy when they came into the LCS, was have Zion play one of these carry top laners and then split push for a very long time and just keep doing that over and over again until the rest of the team can just take a turret. And now they're really well equipped to do that. Even though he doesn't have teleport, the rest of their team, we talked about the Talisman of Ascension and the Thresh Box, that's really good disengage that they can throw up if XDG try and force something on the 4-man squad while Zion is doing his work in the bottom lane by himself.
Well, he is doing work, and he's looking to do it a little bit more. Not even afraid of a 2v1 situation. He has to know that Xmithy is not there by himself, but he'll still take the chance. Going for that pure damage, he says, my first resistance item is a Guardian Angel, which means I just want to fight more. Coast sieging down on the turret
Zion
now.
In the jungle.
On the right side. Zion hits Bloodwater once and brings him down to half HP with a few auto attacks of the rest of the team, and a spear finding Cloud as they try to re-enter.
All right, so the Talisman was used, though. So the speed boost, they got the disengage. It's hard for XDG to chase that because they just ran into 2 spears.
Spider save. That would have been big damage on Bloodwater. We just saw what happened when Zion Spartan hit him, and Bloodwater really doesn't have the magic resistance. Tons of it, at least. He got the Aegis for his team, which is helping, but Void Staff is going to be out soon for Shifter, and it's pretty much going to negate that.
Looks like it's going to be slow work for Coast here. They return to the 1-4 split push. They're going to have Zion clear out the top and make his way all the way back down.
Seeing Zion at the top. They're so unsure to go in on these fights, and they're using the pincer strategy so well from Shifter on the side.
Yeah, Coast are playing this very well. They're having Daydreamin sit really far back, so even though Nintendo is up in the face of the minion waves clearing, they can throw him a lantern from half a screen away and get him back to safety. They're just keeping this entire XDG team at their turret with just the 4-man squad and allowing Zion to go get his 1 versus 1 opportunity while they just over and over keep throwing these spears with that blue buff empowered Nidalee. There's the 2 versus 1 though. This is a catch.
And they send Cloud to do it as well. Zion's not going to look too good on this one. The intervention goes down. This is huge for the pressure in mid lane as well. Can he get the last few attacks?
He's got
the
GA.
Guardian Angel's there. The dash will be as well. Zuna a little heavy on the cocoon there, and it looks like he's going to dash back to the minions. Zion Spartan does it again, but he goes down in the end. They finally focus him enough. Low health bars for Benny and Zuna. They need to turn tide in this fight. Nintendo's going to stay, and so will the rest of the team. They keep sieging.
Even with the Guardian Angel, though, it took a long time for the rest of Coast to rotate up top lane. Now they've got enough damage down that they could go on turret.
Nintendo easily getting in there. They throw it on the box. It does catch Bloodwater with the outside wall. He is too slow to get out. Benny and Zuna coming back with home guards, and it looks like they stave off from the rest of the fight.
Lot of very powerful spears coming from Shifter, but you have to give props to Wiz Fusion setting up multiple spears with his zap. Every time he slows somebody down, makes them an easy
awesome
target for Shifter.
3 kills onto Zuna. He is the only one that's been racking it up for the team as he's trying to make things happen, but also the one capitalizing on these last kills, being the one that's able to chase. And we saw that happen last game. A little too much focus on dominate, not enough economy to the rest of the team. And you look on the other side, Zion Spartan really has been working that by himself. 5-3-0 comes from him 1v1ing, and that's been huge because Shifter's been able to stay in the mid lane and siege with the team, and they're really working this composition well.
Yeah, he was able to build himself up into a big enough threat that XDG were forced to send 2 people to deal with him.
Right.
And at this point, he had already passed the must combo of the Static Shiv and Infinity Edge, and he had gone for the 3rd item, GA. So it took them too long to kill Zion twice, and the rest of the team was able to rotate just in time, and they take out the inhibitor turret. It was going to be really big for them.
That Void Staff is locked in by Shifter. That's going to hurt a little bit more with those spears, but the Lich Bane is also done on the side of XDG, so their potential of objective taking after fights just got a lot bigger if they win a good one with the minion push.
And Zion's split push so easy now that he doesn't have to deal with a turret. It's an exposed inhibitor. There's going to have to be at least 2, if not 3 people to go stop him. XDG might even just give up that inhibitor and try and force something elsewhere.
Really clearly seeing the factor of winning a lane so hard. Zion Spartan is putting that on the table for everyone right now to see. And it allows his team to pressure, even want to get these hooks under the turret. It's not scaring them. Nintendo's pretty big right now, building that second Giants belt, going for his Randuins or Spirit Visage, whatever he decides to go into first. But they are ready to keep diving, and from the fog of war, Shifter is completely fine with participating each and every time with just his spears.
Coast, there's no reason to change the game plan. They just throw spears over and over.
They're dragging a few of these out. Great bait on the ultimates just by Daydreaming. They're very low, but they're still aggressing. The toe-to-toe, ManCloud cannot stand with Zion Spartan right now.
See, they left only 1 person to deal with Zion, and it means that he's going to be able to get to some inhibitor turret damage, but he's got to be careful of that burst because Lich Bane has been completed.
50 seconds on both the Dragon and the Baron. Coast, you can see them somewhat backing off. This is going to be good. Zion wasn't going too hard. I was surprised he actually fought Kale with the GA down. I figured this would kind of be their slow window and then aggressive again.
And what we could even see, since there's so many wards down from Coast, all over both sides of the jungle, is a sneaky Baron from them. If they just send 2 members over to do the Baron, they can take it down very quickly. They've already shown how well equipped they are to disengage. So if the rest of the team can sort of put this blockade up middle, then when Baron comes back up, they are well equipped to deal a lot of damage very quickly.
You see that XDG at some point switched to 3 sweepers as they are trying to gain back their jungle. Right now, trying to gain back the front side of their base. As Coast is really just going around the horn from that top to middle turret using Zion Spartan right now. So
the other good thing about the Coast team here, they're going to give the blue buff over to Shifter. They don't have to panic steal it. Is that when you're going towards Baron, you want to try and contest Baron, you have to go through one of these 2 small passages. So Shifter really has an easy time of shooting XDG as they run down the passage.
Completely, it's under 50%. He just took a huge chunk, and even Benny is taking damage from close range spears. Usually you want to get in on that Nidalee so they don't hurt as bad, but it doesn't matter anymore. They are super powerful, and the Baron is being started.
Yeah, Shifter's running interference right now, just throwing out spear after spear after spear, and he's going to be a one-man defense for this Baron squad.
This is going to be a tough push for XDG to stop here, Kobe. They don't have much to work with, and being split push, like you said, they're going to have to give up more than 2 people, and that's what pretty much every member with Baron counts as Coast right now.
And again, they just return. Zion, go back to the top lane, shove it all the way in. You'll eventually be able to get that inhibitor as the rest of the team sets up with the same sort of lines here.
Ooh! Oh! Oh, what a bro move. Smithy getting the gap closer in there. Whoa, almost caught that spear as well. They get a lockdown onto Benny. They're not afraid to grab the tank with the hook. That's the second time they've gotten Solar Flare just out of grabbing Benny with Death Sentence.
The spears are definitely doing their part right here. So much poke from the 4-man squad of Team Coast. Their only frontline Nintendo is able to soak up any damage, and like we said, they have the lantern to pull him out if he gets stuck.
2 ultimates down there, and that's through Mundo's ultimate. That's enough for Nintendo X to dive to the back line. Bloodwater eats a spear as well, and it's an instant death for him. The Guardian Angel of Zion Spartan is up, so they can go even harder than necessary. The dash is there. No, he flashes. The double. Can he keep going? Oh, the turret's got him on lockdown, and so does Mundo. But they lock it down. Wiz Fusion coming up big on, actually the spear rather, coming up big on that. A double kill in for Shifter. They look for the Nexus turrets. An amazingly well-coordinated game by Coast. They stick with the initial strat and come out with the victory in the end of the day.
Well-deserved win for Coast right there. They had the long game plan of getting Zion super fed and just sticking with that split push, while the 4-man squad was very well equipped to play the poke and disengage game.
That was a scary, scary Zion Spartan in that game. Knowing what he could do, and you look at the levels and you're like, we're at 14, we're at 15, maybe he'll fall off. Then you get to 16 and 17 and he was still putting out extreme pain. They were so far ahead, and it shows that if Yasuo gets ahead, you're gonna have a good game.
I mean, Dyrus did just talk about it right before in that interview.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They've lost over and over to Zion's Yasuo up top. They just showed right here on the big screen that he can perform under pressure as well.
The ability to keep your mindset on the same thing is something that players will have said before and claimed that sometimes your team just needs to tell you again. And a team can get disgruntled with the Nidalee push. Sometimes you go Cougar form and you want to jump in. Your Nidalee doesn't stay on the outside of the fog of war, but Shifter had one job that game, and he literally did it the entire time. Even though in lane he lost, but still stayed for his team and played superb.
I really like the formation of the 4-man squad too. They had Shifter in the fog of war, and then Nintendo's on the front with Daydream and Wiz Fusion right behind him, so they can pull him back to safety. It was a really well set up little 4-man squad.
Yeah, we can say Wiz Fusion had a better game this time. Didn't get killed twice going to lane. Actually was able to get himself, not the first blood, but was able to pick up a few kills as they went towards that. And for Daydreaming, those hooks at the end of the game were powerful, pulling out solar flares every time, and they were grabbing Benny. It was like you could see that XDG was kind of feeling the pressure, and they were biting at anything they could, and it caused them some problems.
It was just this over and over the disengages from Coast, even though it's not the flashiest of moves. Like, that's really what got them that game, though. Nobody got caught. Yes, they had a super fed Zion up top, and Zion was doing so much work,
right,
and he deserves the credit. But they also, the rest of the team, they were able to keep it together.
You didn't get to see ManCloud roam that much either. That was a little bit of a different game for both mid laners. We didn't see him having much participation other than fighting each other in the mid lane up and towards the middle. So we can kind of see what that composition does of having a Yasuo creating pressure in the top lane and then Wiz Fusion doing a little better in the bottom for his team. Really makes you play differently.
He still got to that very powerful kill point where he was putting a lot of damage. And he blocked that one dive from Zion with an intervention on himself, not quite expecting it. But right from that, like, besides those plays, there wasn't that much coming out.
Looking again at some of the picks, Zuna to get Elise, it wasn't the factor of his Olaf again. I think teams are going to start seeing this. It's not that he played it poorly. He didn't make huge mistakes. That one time he tried to get the kill on Zion, anybody would have thought he'd get that kill. It was a toss-up skill match, but Zion was way too far ahead at that point by levels and items. So it just went kind of down the drain.
Dealing with a Yasuo who's got Infinity Edge plus Shack Shiv is a very scary thing because, as Dyrus said, all this damage comes from nowhere. You think that the crit is lucky for Yasuo, but it's not lucky at that point.
Right.
They're at 100% crit because Static Shiv and Last Whisper plus the 5% from your runes doubles up to 100, and that's like every hit. That's not luck at all.
I really thought it was going to be a problem that they weren't going to be able to shut down Kale or at least say, oh my God, we're not building enough magic resistance because of the AP team, but it didn't become a factor because they were just too strong the entire time. So 3 days ago, these standings were a blank slate, but the season is well underway now with 16 games down. So let's go ahead and see how they all stack up after a day of upsets. In first place, it's a tie with Cloud9 and Team Solo Mid going 3-1.
Then it's a 4-way tie for third with CLG, Coast Curse, and Team Dignitas.
And tied for 8th place is Evil Geniuses and XDG, ending the week at 1-3. Now, Kobe, let's take a look at impact players who turned in sterling performances at their respective positions.
All right, so let's just say off the bat, get this out there. It wasn't an easy decision for everybody.
Right.
A lot of topsy-turvy games today. Everything, kind of we just saw in the standings.
Yeah.
Everything's kind of gone amok.
Right.
But we had some top men vote on this.
Absolutely. Heated discussions were had. We crunched the numbers. We poured over some of the footage to see what happened. And we're happy to honor Week 1's 5 OP.
All right, in the top lane, we have Cloud9. All week, Balls was in command. And on a team of stars, sometimes he's easy to overlook. But he's there rocking the top lane, and he deserves this spot.
Absolutely. From Dignitas, we're looking in the jungle now. Crumbs is our OP jungler for this. His shot calling that turned their week around with an upset win over the #1 ranked Cloud9. And that game didn't just look good. It looked really good for them.
It did. Then over in the mid lane, we have Shifter from Team Coast. Especially just in that last game, he's proved himself a threat and a leading mid laner here in North America. He's leading in KDA, and we saw him pull out so many clutch heals to save his teammates. There's got to be some sort of medic award that we can give to him as well.
It's the fast fingers. It comes from LeBlanc. OP in the ADC position, we have Wild Turtle from Team Solo Mid. This week, Wild had a heavy impact in the lane, and it really helped turn the tide in team fights for TSM.
Got to give credit to the AD carries
Always.
as well. Then, in the bot lane, CLG's Afro Moo takes our support. He derailed Curse by stealing that blue buff at level 1 with an auto attack that helped CLG end the week 2-2. We can't get over that steal enough because that was just ridiculous.
Even Hotshot he didn't blow flash or anything. He just, boop, just took it out. But at the end of the day, Kobe, there can only be one MVP. Would you do us the honors of announcing that?
Well, making a strong debut in his first week in the North American LCS is the European imports, Bjergsen. We're going to have to give the MVP over to him.
Absolutely. Bjergsen had a huge impact in each game. Helped steer his team to 3-1 for the week and tying them in first for Cloud9. Not too shabby.
He was repeatedly able to shut down the mid lane with his LeBlanc and his roaming Zed.
Yeah.
And currently, he's the least deaths in the North American LCS with only 2.
Absolutely. Don't forget, Week 2 of the EU LCS kicks off on Thursday, starting with Millennium versus Alliance.
Then, upstart Rokat takes on Super Hot Crew. After that, Copenhagen Wolves will do battle with Millennium, followed by Gambit facing off against SK Gaming.
Indeed. It all kicks off at 7 p.m. Central European Time, which is 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Then, in the North American LCS, we will be back next Saturday, starting with Crumbs and Dignitas taking on Zuna and XDG. Then we have Coast challenging Team Curse for a little first week payback.
After that, Evil Geniuses face off against Dignitas. Then Bjergsen and TSM take on Hotshot GG and CLG.
And that all kicks off on Saturday at noon Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Central